Hey guys, Poverty Point Customs here. What we're going to do today is go through some basic maintenance on my new Husqvarna PW3200 pressure washer. This model has a Briggs & Stratton CR950 208cc motor. So what we're going to do today is change the engine oil, check the air filter, and check the spark plug on it. So first off, let's check the air filter. It's just as easy as unscrewing this, lifting it up, and there's a wing nut. And when you see inside, this air filter's pretty much brand new. There's only a few hours on this pressure washer, but figured I'd go through some of the maintenance anyways. So it's quite simple to replace this. You just buy this whole unit here. Just make sure your rubber gasket's at the bottom. And the new one is just as easy as feeding it on, tightening up the wing nut again. Something like this is good to check about every 8 hours or so. You just want to make sure there's not a whole lot of debris on the outside of the foam part of the filter and whatnot. If there is a little bit in here, just take a clean rag and wipe it down. So to get to your spark plug, it's actually right behind your air filter, between your air filter and your muffler. Just pull off the spark plug boot, just like that. And there's your spark plug. To take it out, you're going to need a 13/16 socket. Now this comes factory with a Torch F6TC spark plug. Now, if it is a little bit fouled, spark plugs are cheap. I'll probably end up replacing it with a Champion or NGK equivalent spark plug. Not too familiar with a Torch brand, but this one's still in really good shape. Again, there's only about 2 hours on it, so it should be nice and clean. So we'll just reinstall this one, but again, if it's bad, just buy a new spark plug and put it in. You also want to make sure your gap's proper. Some spark plugs and engines require a certain gap. So we're going to reinstall this. Just be careful not to cross-thread it. And you want to do this with a cold engine. Yep, we're going to change the engine oil. Now, when you do change the engine oil, you're going to want your engine to be somewhat warm, so you want to use it for a couple minutes. That way, if there's any debris and whatnot in the engine, it will get stirred up in the oil and will drain out when you drain the oil. Now, there's two ways to drain the oil out of your engine. One way is using an oil extractor. We use this on the boat. You just put it in the fill location on the engine and suck out the old oil. Or on the side of your engine, you actually have a drain plug too. Now, I've done a couple videos on this and I get a lot of questions. There are two fill locations on this engine, one on each side as well as the drain. So we'll just use this side here. It's on the same side as your on and off switch. So we're going to drain the oil from here. Just make sure you have a little container underneath. It is a little bit messy because the oil likes to seep and get underneath the engine. So this is a 10 millimeter, like everything else. And we're going to unscrew this counterclockwise. And once it starts draining, I'm going to tilt the pressure washer over a little bit to get more of the oil going right into the bucket. If not, it's all just going to go underneath the engine and make a huge mess. All right, so it's been draining for a few minutes. I will say next time I'll be using my oil extractor. So if you're doing a lot of maintenance on small engines, tractors and whatnot, An oil extractor is definitely worth its weight in gold. So we want to clean up the oil around here, and then you're going to want to reinstall your drain plug. Just make sure it's nice and clean. Some of these are magnetic. This one doesn't appear to be, but just check yours. If it is magnetic, sometimes if there's any little metal fragments in the motor, they'll stick to the magnet. So we're going to reinstall this. And when I was draining the oil, you'd see me take out the dipstick. The reason I took it out is your oil will have a tendency to drain a lot faster if your dipstick's out. Next time, I'll take out the other side, the high side instead of the low side, as you've seen a little bit of oil spilled out there. So we're going to reinstall the drain plug. Again, it's a 10 mil. Has a little O-ring on it, and we're going to tighten it up. Just make sure not to over tighten it. So we're going to fill the engine with oil. Now, what's actually in this bottle isn't Briggs & Stratton oil. It's a 10W30 Shell automotive oil, conventional oil. This is 600 mils. It's not a 1 liter jug. And when I filled this the first time, when I first got it, it took roughly 500 mils of oil. So again, you don't need to go out and buy the SAE 30. It even recommends in the instruction manuals you can use a 10W30, 5W30. It all depends on your temperatures and whatnot. And it's recommended to change your oil roughly 8 hours. So oil is cheap. So I would do it even more frequent than that if you're using it a lot or whatnot. So you're going to want to make sure your engine's on a flat surface. And you don't need to go crazy with the oil. Again, it only takes about 500 mils, 5 to 600 mils. Now I have this side of the engine tilted up a little bit. What I'm going to do is put roughly 400 mils of oil in, and then I'll put it on a level surface and check it again. Just makes it a lot easier to help with pouring in the engine oil. All right, so we're going to check the level of the engine oil. Now you got to screw in your dipstick. You got to screw it in all the way to get the proper height of the oil. So we can see it's roughly maybe a third up the dipstick, maybe a little bit more. So we're going to add a little bit more, maybe 50 mils or so. That's perfect. It's just below the full line on it. One thing before I properly dispose of my oil, I always like to take a look at the dirty oil and just make sure there's no shiny particles in it. If there is, it's usually internal engine components, bearings and whatnot. This oil again only has a couple hours on it, so you can see it's nice and clear and not dirty. So again, they recommend changing the oil on these every 8 hours. And that's just showing the oil that I used. It's a Motomaster 10W30 oil made by Shell. So I just poured from that into my small oil container that the engine came with. That way it's much easier to pour into the engine itself. That's just looking at the oil extractor. That's what I'll use next time I change the engine oil. And I want to correct myself. I was saying that it's recommended that the oil is changed every 8 hours. It's actually every 50. But if I'm using it a lot in the summertime and so on, I'll probably change it every month or so. Again, it takes just a little over half a liter of engine oil, so I could technically change the engine oil 10 times, or at least 9 times with that one 5-liter jug of oil. So I've done a few videos on this pressure washer to date. First one was unboxing, second one was using it. Third one was actually using it with a foam cannon, which I 100% recommend. And then how to change the engine oil, spark plug, and your air filter, which is seen in this video. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see a video on how to actually winterize this. get it ready for winter storage. Up here in Canada, it can get as low as -20, -30 on a regular basis. So you want to make sure you're taking care of your engine and your pump in the wintertime, because this will be stored out in the garage where it can reach close to that temperature. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments below, or if you have any tips or suggestions that other people may want to know, again, leave it in the comments, or tips for myself or things that you want to see in regards to this pressure washer or my other videos. If not, I really appreciate you watching the video. Make sure to, again, if you want to leave a comment, a thumbs up sure helps the video. And make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification button. Thanks a lot, take care, and hopefully in the next few days or so, you'll see a video on how to winterize this if you want to see it. Thanks for watching.